think
we
should start. Right. Okay, namaste. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So let me share the PowerPoint with you. We reach the share. Press it now.
ಅಲ್ಲಿ
28 ಅಲ್ಲಿ. Oh. We have completed this Abhyasa Vairagya.
Yeah.
I think, this we have not yet done. Vairagya, we have given the definition.
ಆಯ್ತು
ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ಆಯ್ತಾ? Okay. Virama Pratyabhyas Anya. Oh.
ಈಶ್ವರ ಪ್ರಣಿಧಾನ ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ಟೈಮ್ ಹೇಳ್ತಿದ್ವಿ.
Okay. 23rd Sutra. Klesh Karma Vipaka. That's what is the definition of Ishvara. Isn't it? Idu aita. Okay, then I have not yet made the PowerPoint. So without the PowerPoint, we'll do it.
28 just ಶುರು ಮಾಡ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು you wanted to do it over it again.
Oh, okay.
ಹಳೆದ್ರ ಮೇಲೆ ಹೊಸ ಐಡಿಯಾ ಇದ್ರೆ ಹೇಳಿ, ಅದ್ರಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್. ನೀವ್ ಎಷ್ಟ್ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು we are like sponge.
So far, the Taglier that he has explained about various states of samadhi, samprajnata, asamprajnata. Very clear idea is that these are the states of mind that's there within us. And several people manifested that even when they were uh, before they have really entered into the world, like the way that when Ramakrishna was 7-year-old, he had that experience of Nirvikalpa Samadhi. That's when he was walking in the fields and he saw beautiful dark clouds, pregnant clouds, and then setting sun casting a rainbow. And after that, he saw the swans which are flying across the rainbow. All the scenery, when you look at it, the very imagination of the scenery is so attractive, so enchanting. You feel like you are stopping there. And this kind of a stopping of our all activities happen many times. But many times it happens very profoundly in the case of children. I recollect one small little example when my son Amrit was very small. And those days we were so busy with various activities going around, just yoga activities, some course here, some camps there, and all that in Bangalore. And then one day it so happened that we both were very free. We didn't have any activity. So we were at home, and then nobody else was there excepting my son. And I said, okay, let's spend time with together, three of us. It's a very rare opportunity. Then my wife said, let's go to Lal Bagh to enjoy. I said, if we are there together with them, we enjoy, whether it is home or in. No, we go. Okay, we'll go. And when the idea comes that going somewhere, immediately you know what happens. The whole exercise starts, giving him this thing and changing dress and changing this and that. And doing that is like a big exercise. After all those things in 10, 15 minutes, and then I was ready outside waiting. And then this hero comes out. I said, are you ready? Yes. Yeah, good. But then what about mom? She's tired, taking a bit rest. Readying me is a not so simple job. Anyway, before she came, he saw a small little caterpillar on the bushes that are there, and he was enchanted by that. Actually, right from the childhood, he had a great fascination for all the insects, animals, and all that. He would not allow any insect to go out of the house. He wanted to keep every insect in the house. So, like that. At the moment he saw the caterpillar, I could see that how his eyes popped up and he was completely lost in that caterpillar. The way that the caterpillar is moving and all that, it was like for him a great enchanting thing. So he was completely lost in that. I tried to divert his attention because the mother came and then we have to go. Absolutely, you can see that he was in a samadhi state. There is no attention anywhere outside. And I told my wife that, don't disturb him. He's anyway peaceful. Oh, no. We are losing the time. Before it sunsets, we have to go to the park to give him joy. I said that he is in the blissful state, not joy. And an hour passed, he did not come out of that attention towards that. This is what asamprajnata samadhi. That means your prajna outside is not there. Absolutely lost in yourself in the peaceful state. There is one particular object and you are in that. This kind of an experience often you see in the children, very often, but here and there we also go through that experience. So therefore, what Patanjali said is that these samadhi states are within us, right up to the Nirvikalpa Samadhi. That's what Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, in our case, it will be the peaceful state can be of the degree of, say, 30, 50, 60%. Ramakrishna, it was 100% in such a way that his breath stopped and his heart stopped beating. And they thought that he died. They lifted him up and then took him home. When he went home, suddenly he started jumping with joy. So what happened to him? They thought that he is dead, but then he was very joyful. But anyway, they thought he's okay, normal, so they did not pay much attention to it. Whereas the same thing Ramakrishna Paramahansa, when he was a priest in the temple, and then he was regularly into samadhi, sadhana, and all those things. When Totapuri came to him, at that time he was still lost in Divine Mother, and then he initiated him into Nirvikalpa Samadhi. That's when even the image is also dissolved. And when he gets into Samadhi, then deeper states of Samadhi, that Totapuri could see it because he's a person who has a realized soul. And then he was waiting one day, he was waiting for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. Absolutely, there is no sign of Ramakrishna Paramahamsa getting back to that. And then this continued for almost like 2 days. And 3 days later, when he came out with a bright, peaceful eyes and all those things, and people asked him, "What happened to you?" Ramakrishna said, "Oh, this is state I experienced when I was 7-year-old." That means when he was coming from later on he recollected that he was coming from the field. This is what happened. So that means to say the state was already there. Only thing is that this practice reconfirmed her state that is there within us. If Ramakrishna had that state, same way the Buddha also had the same state. And Buddha, when he went to that final realization, when after 9 years of tapas and under the tree that is there, that Bodh Gaya, that's also a very beautiful experience. He was struggling and struggling and struggling to reach that state, and almost to the point that he was not eating food or anything like that. He was emaciated and sitting under the Bodhi tree. It's on the banks of the river called Niranjana, and on the other side of the river, there was a small little village, and that village, that there is a house which is right adjacent to that river. And in that place, that this young girl was there by name Sujata. And in the afternoon, about 1 o'clock, something like that, noon, and she just snoozed off. At that time, she had a dream-like state, and that dream she saw a voice came to her and said that, "I'm the Vanadevata, and please make the rice pudding and give it to me. Serve me." She thought that this is something like her own hallucination, but then she prepared rice pudding and then came out to see that where is that Devata. She did not find anybody, anything like that, any soul anywhere. Then again, she went back to her tent, but then her home. But then again, she came to that idea that Vanadevata is inviting. Then this time, more seriously, she came out and looked around. She saw on the other side of the river, under the Bodhi tree, all that what she saw was that as if something like on Bodhi tree itself, some painted skeleton was there. A painted skeleton on the Bodhi tree. When she saw very carefully, then it is not a skeleton, it is like a human being sitting there meditating. Oh my God, this is what I got the message. Then she crossed the river and then came there. And then she found Buddha sitting there, absolutely without food for such a long time that he reduced to skeleton. But just before this vision happened, he wanted to drink water. He hardly pulled himself up from that place and then went to the Niranjana river, bent down to take the water. But then there is no energy, therefore he fell into the water and he was floating. He did not drown, he was floating. That floating experience is where he was free from gravity, he was free from the body consciousness. Absolutely, he became one with the consciousness itself, pure consciousness. There was nothing else. That was like a Jnanodaya. That is where he was absolutely free from any attachment of any body or anything like that. This is what we call it as the experience of the blissful state, Anandamaya Kosha, just being yourself, blissful. And then he came back and sat down under the river, under the tree. At that time, Sujata came, fed him the milk pudding, and that's what is payasam. And he recovered from that state. It took a time. So she was one of the first disciples of um, Buddha. And when he came out, somebody asked him, and actually he had friends together, they all went to do the spiritual sadhana, and then he alone went to Bodh Gaya. The others were there in Sarnath. He went back to meet his friends in Sarnath, and they asked him, "What happened to you? You were lost for so many years and all that. Now you came back. What is that you gained by sadhana?" Buddha said, "I didn't gain anything. I lost." He said, "What did you lose?" He said, "I lost the ignorance. And now I know that what I am is what is that I realize." So basically what happens is that these states are within us, and that's what Buddha experienced, and that's what Ramakrishna experienced. The same thing, one stroke of suggestion that was there from Ashtavakra. Immediately Janaka experienced that state, and when Janaka was established in that state, Ashtavakra even had a doubt whether Janaka really reached that state. So actually 2 chapters he spends in trying to test him. So all that happened. So that shows that all these states are there. Only thing is we try to recover that state. And but then so much of overburden on us, so much of preferences and the other things. As a result of it, what happens is that there is a small little a bit of glimpse will be there and then goes away. So we feel that bit of experience, we feel that as if we have ecstatic kind of a joy. We can't even explain to anybody, but we feel that this is what scriptures say, that kohya vanyat ka pranyat idesha akashanando nasyat. This is Mandukya Upanishad Karika says that if man were not to have this experience, he wouldn't have been living. So that means these various states of peace of mind at various levels. If we were not there, we wouldn't have been living. So that means we have these experiences. Only thing is we're not in touch with that. And in order to be in touch with that, then we need to have certain practices to see that how we can go that. This is what is Patanjali's idea of yoganga anusthana ashuddhikshaye jnanadipika viveka khyatirehe. This is what is 28th sutra. So until this time he was telling that whatever that is there on top of us, tasya saptada pranta bhumihi prajna viveka khyatir aviplavaha thanopaya. That's what is 26th. Only thing is that we are covered by this ignorance. As Buddha said that we need to remove that ignorance, and that ignorance is destroyed by, only thing is that we are in touch with that nature called as the Atman, or that's what is the state we, and there is no other illusion or the distraction remains with us. Vivekta khyatihi aviplava hanopaya tasya saptadha pranta bhumihi prajna. The experience gains this knowledge by in 7 stages advancing towards the highest. So these samprajnata samadhi are the 7 stages that are there within us, saptadha stages, and then deep inside, that's what is where we have the Swarupa, our own nature. And that's what we have seen in the 3rd sutra, that why do you do yoga? Tatha drashtuhu swarupi avasthanam. This Swarupa is not just, people take it very simply. If you calm down the mind, you are in the state of self. And that's why you just lie down in Shavasana and do some the relaxation, then you are in the Samadhis. Well, it's all right. For local purposes that we can assume, that is not really that going deeper and deeper. In fact, that calm state of mind are detached. We have a glimpse of it when we do the Shavasana, or when we are doing, that's one of the reasons why you might have an experience also, that when you do some Shavasana, go to a level where you are so peaceful inside that at that time, the instructor gives instructions, let's sing Om. You are so peaceful, you don't want to sing Om. It's a very deep, profound, peaceful state. And also many times you have this experience that you are Shavasana instructions are going on, and then you're lying down there. And after some time, then the instruction comes, come on, get up. You get up and sit down. But then many people come to me and say that I had a wonderful Shavasana, right? But I am not very sure whether I was sleeping or whether I was awake. Why you feel that you are sleeping or you are not awake? That is a state which is very similar to sleep, in the form of that the instructions are not coming into you. You feel that you are not listening to any instructions. Sometimes instructions may not be getting into you, because definitely you might have gone into the sleep, but then you have arrested. Sometimes it might even happen. The instructions may not be coming, once very early. And this, our center was very small. We were all local people, and we were doing Shavasana, and then one of our instructors, he was giving instruction. He also was doing yoga along with us, and afterwards he was also doing Shavasana. After a while, we stopped listening to the instruction. Then I was suddenly wondering, am I really sleeping? No, I'm not sleeping. So I got up and saw that instructor was sleeping nicely. So we didn't want to disturb him. I continued the instructions so that everybody enjoyed that state. Lovely. Very nice. But there is a state where if you are really sleeping, then how did you listen to the instruction? Please turn to your side, get up and sit down. We had it. That means to say we were in a state of peaceful state. Even that instruction was not entering into us. This is what is a state of mind where it is not sleeping, it is awake, but at the same time it is not receiving instructions. So like that, there were several stages of peaceful state of mind. And beyond, if you cross all there, the end of all those things is what is your Swarupa. That's why there are so many layers of your existence within you. Outside you may not have so many layers. Outside seem to be a much simpler world. Inside world is much more complex and complicated. But behind all that inside world, that you are in the existence in the form of your. So yoga anusthana, then shuddha kshaye jnanadiptaya viveka khyate. So that means to say, by as soon as all the impurities have been removed, when you cross all these impurities, by the practice of the spiritual discipline, the limbs of yoga, the man's spiritual vision opens up and lights up into knowledge of the self. We have the self and we have been here and there, the glimpse of the self, but only thing is that the real knowledge comes when consciously we make that journey possible. That's what is the 28th Sutra that Patanjali brings about. So, I'm sorry, your 26th Sutra. Here. Tasya vachakam pranavaha, tadjapa tatata bhavana, tat praticheta adhigamaha, antaraya abhavascha. These are the sutras that we need to look into. That was actually, I was looking into the second chapter. So, that's what I was wondering, did I cover all these ideas already? So, what is required in 21st Sutra? Let's try to pick up the first chapter, 21st Sutra. Tivra samveganam asannaha. These experiences that are there, earlier he talked about samadhi, and that also he talked about savikalp samadhi, then becomes nirvikalp samadhi, samprajnata samadhi to asamprajnata samadhi comes to. That means that prajna isn't there in the world outside, and second thing is that you don't have a prajna of the world outside. First is the prajna sahita, that's what is samprajnata. Second thing is prajna vihita, that means to say outside you don't have prajna. This is what is asampragnata samadhi. And when we talk about the sampragnata, asampragnata samadhi states within us, they are there within us. Many times what happens is that you get this, we did the experiments also, that you give a stimulus and you hear the stimulus, but then at the same time you are peaceful inside, only that you hear the stimulus that is there. So the brain waves do not change, excepting there is one kink in that stimulus that you are given. This kind of thing is there. Second thing is that where you are so peaceful that when the stimulus is given, brain does not even register that stimulus. At the body level you are given, but only thing is that it did not even get conveyed to the brain level. See, we think that the nerve system immediately carries it to the brain, but many times it might not have happened yet. But then people will say that I have not even felt the stimulus that you are given. It has not hit the brain, but instrumentally that you are given it. The same kind of an experience that we have in the world outside also, that outside that there is a stimulus that's happening, but it does not reach you because that you are so peaceful inside, or maybe you are focused on one particular object, rest of the mind is peaceful, it does not carry any stimulus from you outside. This is what is the state of asampragnata samadhi. You have decided to be at one particular point working, and then you are working at that particular point, but then you are not aware of anything that is there rest of it. And this kind of experiences that we all have that kind of an experiences, that I'm watching something and then I don't have any experience of anything. Many times we see the children, they are playing something or doing something, doorbell ring, they don't even realize that, and it does not even make a stimulus on them. But this is not just only that they ignored once, but what I'm trying to say is that when the experiments show that stimulus is there at the sensory organ level, but it has not gone into the brain level, it is not registered the brain level, that means somewhere in between also it can get damped. You are disconnected from that. This is what is asampragnata samadhi. And day-to-day life, that's what I wanted to say. When I was a kid, I don't know whatever it is, but everybody used to say that, I also feel it. My mom used to have a special love for me. In the sense that what I would ask, she would really make it, bring it to you, bring it for me. May not be so for the other. We were bunch of 5-6 kids and all those things. You see, big house. I asked something, my mom prepared something very special. And then main plate, she would have served the food. And then that extra dish, she would put it in a quarter plate extra, put it to everybody. And then everybody would have finished it, but I had food, but I would not have touched it. And then I finished my food and get up. Everybody would complain to mom saying that, look, you made all this thing specially for Raghu. And he did not even eat that. He did not even respect what you've done. He doesn't know what is the taste of it. Then I asked, oh, you made it? On top of it, when I asked that, you can imagine what can be the anger that, see, you asked and I made it and you did not touch it. Yeah, I love it. I wanted it. But why did you not touch it? I never used to understand that my vision did not go out of the plate. The rest of the stimulus that was there around was not even a part of consideration for me. I felt about this only when I started really going through meditation and all those things. I see that, yes, my mind was so fixed on one thing that it did not go to the other things. See, the other stimulus was not there. This is what is asampragnata samadhi. And the same thing continued when I came to the office also, when I was working as an engineer. We have huge, big drawings to study, and then my table was small, occupied with something else. So, super boss, and I went to his table. He was on tour, therefore it was. I spent the whole drawing. I was sitting there and then noting down all the details. I'm still working, not sleeping. And then I suddenly heard a chorus of people calling me Raghuram. I raised my head and looked at. all the 10, 20, 15 people in my office, they were standing there and shouting at me, Raghuram, and then my boss, super boss, was sitting in front. In India, what happens? Super boss, you can't go in front of him. But here I'm sitting in his chair, using his table, and he's in the office. I'm ready for a candidate for suspension. And everybody said, what is this? He has come and he called you and all that. You didn't even notice. I'm so sorry. I was busy doing the work. Anyway, I wound up everything and then I was about to go. Others left. Boss said that you don't go, you stay. So now I thought that that's the culmination. So I was waiting there. And he said, Raghuram, I'm really surprised to see your one-pointedness. I called you and so many called. I brought them people. It's all 20 minutes now. And then your attention is not there outside. But I saw that you are working. I'm so thoroughly impressed. Actually, from that day onwards, he took me to be his guru. Any doubts, anything like that, he would ask me for clarification. So he could recognize there is something like that state of mind that is there. Asamprajnat samadhi. So there are states like that where you don't have prajna of the world outside, no stimulus of the world outside. Even inside also that we enter into those states where the smriti is not in one layer. Smriti is something which is extraordinary. It is in various layers. And we go beyond those layers. And in fact, one layer of the smriti that we have is the time. Time is an extraordinary important. It is in the mind. It's not in the world outside. No tree has anything like time. No planet has anything like time, or no flowers have anything like time. There is no time sense anywhere else. They just flow. That's all. Whereas it is our mind created this time, and that's also very limited. Sometimes it appears that time flies very fast. Sometimes it is slow, depending upon who has come to talk to you. That time is short or long. But it's also relative. It is in the mind. Anything relative supposed to be in the mind. So therefore, time belongs to the world outside, belongs to the mind. But then deep inside, our consciousness crosses the level of time once in a while. And that's the time that usually happens when you are in the sleep, suddenly enter into that quiet state of mind, peaceful state of mind, samadhi, where you cross the barrier called as time. And the time is like a matrix that is there spread in front of you. When you cross that barrier of time, then what happens is that when you suddenly wake up, not all the time that we wake up suddenly, but sometimes it might happen that you suddenly wake up from that barrier. Then you do not come up into present now. You suddenly come up into the wakeful state, which may be a few days later, few months later. But then that does not match with the time now. Then what happens? You have an experience of some event and something like that. Your mind goes through that for that fraction of a second. But then immediately all senses, they start to wake up. And the senses wake up, then you see that the senses give a different input. As a result of it, what happens? The mind from that state rushes back to the now. So now you are in the present. It might take few seconds for you to be in the present. But after that, as the time travels towards that future, we had that glimpse of experience. Suddenly you start feeling, yes, I know this. I know that these people are going to be there. I know that this meeting is going to be there. I know this is what is the scene. I even know that the dialogue, this person will say like that, this person will say like that. So this dialogue also recollect. And many times people say that this deja vu experience, yeah, I have that. How do you explain that? And there's nothing mystical about it. They feel that something mystical. Some people might feel even frightened by that experience. Said, what's happening with me? Nothing happening with you. You are like God. That means to say, when you cross this barrier of time, that you are aware of everything that is there in spite of you. The God is not outside. The God is there within you. That's what is Ishvara. That aspect is within you. And that's what suddenly comes into the picture. So a barrier of time is also that which is within the asampragnata samadhi. And then you cross that also. as an experience that you have here and there. Not, you don't have to be a very special person. Everybody would have that kind of an experience. But only thing is, many times we ignore that. But then if we recollect that, that's something which is very important. In fact, this is where I think last time Shastriji raised that issue of rebirth kind of a thing, right? I remember now. And that many lives and many mansions book is there, full of such experiences that are there. And similarly, we had also one Dr. Satwan Pasirija. She did this studies in India, and then she found out it happened like that. So this is time barrier that you cross. And after that, the time barrier, next barrier that we all have is the gender barrier. That means to say you're a man or a woman. Actually, consciousness does not have anything like that. It is free from that. But then consciousness itself split into two things. Actually, within us, the man and the woman. That's why we have the idea of Arthanarishwara. And that's what is the first place of creation. And in order to supplement that second portion of it, that's how we get married to, or we get the other. But then we identify ourselves with one aspect of it, like man and a woman. But there is some level of samadhi where we cross that aspect of gender barrier. Until that time we are there. That's why in the dream, you will never become a person of a different gender. Whatever that you are, you become that. That clearly shows that how much identification that is there. In subconscious levels that you are identified with that. But sometimes we have that people who have crossed that and experience of that where they are not belong to any gender. And these are the people who are like Mirabai, the examples of Mirabai. Mirabai, she was in devotion, ecstasy of Krishna such a way, all that she saw was Krishna, and she was supposed to be the woman, the lover of Krishna, and Krishna alone was there. For her, the whole universe is nothing but Krishna, and then she was the Radha. What a wonderful devotion she had. In that devotion, she went to Vrindavan, and Vrindavan is the place of Krishna, so therefore she wanted to experience that Krishna's in Vrindavan. And somebody was giving a talk, some Govinda Swami, he was giving a talk. So she went there, Govinda Acharya. And then she did not know that there was a rule that Govinda Acharya didn't allow men to come in, any woman to come inside, because it's absolutely pure man. I don't know what is meant by absolute pure man. But anyway, whatever he was. And then he gave instruction to the gatekeeper that he should not allow they should not allow any women inside. But then she was dancing in ecstasy. There were people dancing with her. While dancing with her, they lost their body consciousness. They became one with that Krishna consciousness. And then these gatekeepers also became like that. These security also became like that. They started dancing. Along with Meera, they also entered inside the hall. When they went inside the hall, when they saw their boss standing there, frowning at them, then suddenly they realized, they came to the body level consciousness. Oh my God, what a mistake happened. They allowed this lady to come inside. Now the Rath. And this man became so angry and said, why did you allow women come inside? No women are supposed to come inside. Then Meera smiled and said, oh, I came to Vrindavan thinking that there is everything. There's only one man. That's what is Krishna. Everybody is women. And here there is another man also. I'm not interested in another man. She just turned around and going. The way that she expressed, the way that genuinity that was there in her heart, Govinda Acharya was really touched by that. The glimpse has happened in him. He fell down at the feet of Mirabai, and prayed to her, saying that, oh, you opened my eyes. Actually, long time ago, just a little diversion, this happened like that in Prashanti also. We were having an international conference, and when Swamiji was invited to this conference to inaugurate, big Swamiji. And of course, after a genuine interest that he's a spiritual person, he was invited there. But he put one condition, and that is, no women should be seen in his path in the campus as an enters there. My God, the main person here are women. Lakshmi Auntie is there, and Nagaratna ji is there, and so many other women who are all doing it. They have to do all. No, come about me. That all those things will be done by everybody. But by the time he enters into the campus, nobody should be seen. Nobody should be seen. A big task. So they have taken care to see that, everybody is helmeted, all the women are not there outside, hiding behind, and then the car came and he got down and all that, and the men were there to receive him. But suddenly there was probably one man, young man was there. His dress was looking like a women dress, and maybe he also had a long hair. See, this present culture makes like that people. He became suspicious about that. That means to say, eyes were searching for women. Poor fellow. When your eyes are searching for women, you see women. There's no doubt. So essentially, the idea is to see that a consciousness level that you rise, where it's not the question of you avoid the other gender, but you don't see the other gender. Children are not like that. Children, you see that they don't have the gender difference. They are the same. They play, they do all those things, and therefore that's why mothers feel so comfortable, even if it is a boy child, to be naked and then take bath with them and all the experiment. A friend of mine in Germany, he said something very nice. When I gave this idea that mind has one thing called as a general level, and